In this video, we're going to focus on how we can have a group bar chart set here all together and then have these lines on top of it. And there will be a part 2 on this video. So to do this, the first thing what we'll be needing is our boiler template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com getting started. Once you're on here, scroll down and copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to have the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page. And of course, got a question, put it on Discord. All the links are in the description box. So what I'm going to do here first is having multiple bars. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to copy this. Let's say here 1, 2, and 3 times. And this one, I'll just say this will be the black total sales. And the reason why is because we will have one, we'll have the total. We just put it in like that. And the others will be all different colors that are like individual. I'm just going to do it like this because that was specifically the question. So we need to remove here or keep only the second one for the blue. So what we have here now is this is blue, this is yellow, and finally here the upper color I will keep, and that is red. So we're going to save this, refresh, there we are. So now we have them here and we want these dots here on the very top or matching with this specific data set here. What I will do here is just change this because we'll be using some tricks around here. So we're going to assume this is for every year. So this is a requirement to have. 2022. Everything else I'll just ignore for now. Save, refresh. All right, that looks quite good. So what I want to do now is I want to make sure that we have at least a few different values here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And maybe I'll leave that one there. But like that, and then this one here maybe 9, 9, and the total here, I will not even pay attention on what the numbers are. I'll just like this, but maybe 22, 25, 20, 20, save, refresh. All right. So what I want to do is to have a line connecting this point to that point to here. That's basically what I'm going to do. We're going to do it for all 3 of them, or at least every one of those, is excluding the total. So what I'm going to do next, and it's just going to copy this. We're going to create our first line chart in here. So a comma, and we have the double comma here, so let's remove that. I'm going to say this will be line 1. And then the line 1, oh well, in this case, I need to use the year here. So we're going to use 2022. Make sure this is matching with the labels here. This is the only trick. So I have no other way for now, but this is the best way for what I can find. So what I want to do here next is say the type. And the type will be equal to a line chart. Save this, refresh. There we are. And as you can see here, we have this here. And that looks quite good. Let's make this 1, 2, 3. Let's remove the 4th value. No need for that because there are only 3 values. So what I do want, and if you look very carefully, we are behind the bars. So if this would be a solid, well, let's make this one solid. You will see we are behind the bars, and I want to avoid that. I want to make sure that these lines are on top of the bars. So what I'm going to do here, for a comma, we'll say here order. That's the one. 0. And order 0 would mean or indicates that whatever is the lowest in order, that will be drawn first. So I will give all the others order of 1, so they will draw after order 0. That's the order, or that's the priority, how it works. So if I save this, refresh, now we are on top. So while this is all fine, I want to make sure that these dots here will be connected to whatever the tooltip would be here, or at least that exact same point as what the tooltip hovers on. So that is where the bar should be, and then eventually you should have 3 of them. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, what I would want to do here is remove the tooltip. So I'm going to say plugins, tooltip, and say enable set to false. I'm doing this because I want to make sure we're not being distracted by the tooltips. All right, so that works. So now what I want to do is to create a plugin, and we're going to start working on it. We're going to call this, say plugins. This is an array. because you can have more than one plugin. And let's give this, the plugin name will be line position, because basically what I want to do is reassign these X coordinates that we have here to the bars of this group here. And this bars here is basically data set index of a data point 0 of every data set here of the 3 data sets. So we have some work to do here, because this is by default not possible, so we're going to play around with it. So what I'm going to do here, constant, and I'm going to say here this will be the ID, ID will be equal to the same thing, of course, and then what I'm going to say is before data sets draw, chart, arcs, and plugin options. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that before we draw it, we want to reassign the X coordinates. That's what we're doing here. So now what I'm going to do next is we're going to say here object destructuring. So it's equals to chart, and then what do I need here? CTX and data. And then next what I need here is starting to draw the items. So what I'm going to do is I want to get the type here. I want to know which data set this is, because we need to do this dynamically, so I need to loop through every item here. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. So we're going to say a constant, we'll call the line labels, and then we're going to say a data dot data sets dot map method. I'm going to create a new array with the line labels, and the data is borrowing this from this object destructuring here. So then what I'm going to say here, data sets, data set, and then index function arrow expression, and then what I'm going to do here is the following. If we will have the data set dot type that will be equal to line that we have specified here, in that case what I would like to do is return the label, basically this label here. So we say here return data set dot label. Once I did this, let's do a console log and see what we got. We will get a line label labels. There we are. Save, refresh. Open up developer tab. We have 5 items. That is correct. We have 5 data sets. Oh, and then let's see here the data set dot label. Does it even show? Type is line. Oh, there we are. You can see this is a mistake from my side. I was thinking, why are we not getting the value of 2020? So if I save this, correct that one, now we have that. All right, so you can see here now we get where we're able to extract the label, because the dataset.type, this should be it, not the other one that I misspelled. So what I need to do next is I want to convert whatever the position is of this into a number. In this case, it will be index number 4. So what I'm going to do, and you can see here, if I would do the following, pay attention here, if I copy this, put in here, say 2021, save, refresh. Oh, make sure you have that here. Now we have 6 data sets. One is the total, and the other 2 are the data sets of the line. So it understands this well. So that means that we have now one part soft coded. The next one I want to soft code is converting the numbers, or whatever the year is, into the data set here. So what I'm going to do here is the following. I'm going to say here constant line position index. I basically want to get the index position, then we get the line labels. So from the line labels, what I'm going to do here is then again another map method. Make sure you spell it correctly, map, and then I'm going to say here for this one here, for every label, I want to get the index function arrow expression. It's the same structure, but now what I want to do is if the label is not equal to undefined, as you can see here, because I want to later on remove those, so I want just only this one here. If it's not equal to undefined, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to say return the following, the line labels dot index of. And what I really do here is the index of method is going to search this name or this value here into the well, where exactly? Of the label value. And what will happen then is we will get then the index number. So if I do a console log, I should have now the index number of those here. And as you can see here, 4 and 5, that is the data set of the line specifically. Now I can remove all of those, so we can trim these away. And to do that, I'm just going to use another method as well, although I'm sure there's a better way to do it. Right now I don't have it, so just bear with me. So what I'm going to do here then is, we're going to say, let's say, the cleaned line position index, where I'm just going to clean up and remove all the items that are not related. So what I'm going to say here, line position index, and then we use the filter method, and the filter method will say for every item we're going to get that item, and then if we just maintain that one, but if we have a undefined item, if it's not or not equal to undefined, sorry, that's what I want to say here. So what this does eventually is filter out all the items, all the undefined items. So let's try. There we are. Now we have 4 and 5. Those are the index numbers of our line. So now we are really close to the end. So what I want to do now is basically I want to loop through all these positions. And what I really want to do is this here. Let's close this. These bars here, this is basically dataset 1 or dataset 0, index 0. This dataset 1, index 0, and this is dataset 2, index 0. And same here, dataset 0, but then index 1, index 1, index 1, etc., etc. So it's a bit of a puzzle here. And so what we have to do here, we have to loop through these datasets. So what I'm going to say here, the first thing is, I need to know how many data points we have. In this case, I'm going to assume if you have, that was the exact question, if there would be the bars, there's one always that represents the total bars, and that should not have a line on top of it. So that means that there's, in this case, there's always an expected value of 3 data points. No more, no less. So I'm going to assume that this will be always the case for this question. So we're going to say here, so let I equals 0. And then what I'm going to say here, we're going to loop through the I semicolon. And I would say we will loop through the I based on 2 things. Number 1, for every data set that is a line data set, we have to do this. And then we're going to say here dot length, then I plus plus. All right. So this is for every line position that we want. So then what I'm going to say here is next, I need to loop through every data point of the data set. So it's a data dot data sets. And I say here the dot for each method. And then say we say for every data set, comma index, function arrow expression. Then within here, what I'm going to do here is if, and then what I want to do here, the data type or data set dot type is not equal to line, and this is very important. I want to reassign the line X position here, but not to the line position because those are wrong, but based on the bars. So that's why I'm doing this. So we're filtering out the line data sets. And then we say here, and this is important as well, for the index, and the index should be smaller than this. It's never larger. Why? We have an extra bar here. So if we are also expecting 3 lines, because we have 3 bars for the 3 datasets that should represent it, but this total bar should be excluded. So that's why the lines should be max 3, because there's 3 individual bars showing the values, or 3 data sets, sorry, to be data sets for every year here, but the 4th data set of the bar must be excluded. Very important to understand. So once we did this, we're going to say here now, we're going to readjust the value. Say here chart dot get data set meta, and then we're going to grab here the clean index, yeah, and then we're going to say from here the I. Remember, the I says 1, but I want to have the array of this, which is 4 and 5. That's the value it shows. So basically, data set number 4 will be the first one, and then we're going to say here dot data. Then we're going to get the index for every one of those index values. Then we say here dot x. This will be equal to what exactly? We're going to grab this. We can just put that in here, but here we're going to change that. What I'm going to say here, this will be equal to the index value, and then this one should be based on the I. Remember, this was what I said. Data set 0, index 0. Data set 1, index 0. Data set 2, index 0. And that's what I want. The I is the 0 all the time, but here data set 1 or 0, 1, 2. So we're going to loop through these basically. Yes, and what this really means, if you're confused, is it? I'm just saying here, get the line x position to be equal to this, that, and of course, if we have more, it will be based on that. All right, so let's see now. We should have here probably a proper response. All right, we're getting here, but we're getting some weird things. And the reason why is this is truly based on the right amount of lines. So what I'm going to need to do here, as I said earlier, so this is a bit of the trick. Say here number 22, save, refresh. Now this works. So what happened if we want to add a new item? To do that, as I said earlier, because we're using the trick, we're going to say 2023, this label here. Then we have to make sure we create a new bar. So comma paste. All right, so this is yellow 2, and I'll just leave it as it is. That's fine. And then in here, we're going to copy, say comma, make this 2023, save, refresh. Oh, all right, let's see what's going on here. I can see here I forgot I have an extra comma here. All right, so now we're getting some errors, so I need to just figure out if we are somewhere wrong on these. Line, hold on. All right, so after checking, so what are the issues here? Well, I need to add up here additional values. So we need to have another value in here because we're extending basically having extra values in there. So as you can see here, if you're going to put in a new item, you're going to have 4 bars here with 1. So you need to have 4 data points here. If you want to have another one here, let me double check how that will work. If we're going to add up that one, I guess I'll leave it for this for now, and I will check that later on. But that's basically one of the basics to do. I'll check what we can do more. Alright, so far I'm not able to find it, but I know it's somewhere in here. More specifically, this will probably be our issue, but I will make a separate video for that to cover that one in a part 2 video. But this is basically it, to have at least a starting point.